Imagine, just for a second, that you are stepping into a doctor's office.
Okay.
But you are not the patient today. You are a pharmaceutical representative.
Right. Whole different vibe.
Exactly. And you have exactly 12 minutes to deliver a highly complex, medically accurate message about a brand new life-saving drug.
Which is not a lot of time.
No, not at all. And the doctor is rushed. They've, maybe already skimmed your slide deck before you even walk through the door.
If you're lucky.
Right. And the pressure is completely on you. And here is the kicker. If you misstate one single regulatory qualifier during this brief chat, you could trigger a legal review that stalls a multi-million-dollar drug launch.
Yeah.
That is the kind of pressure we are talking about today. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me. It's an incredibly high-stakes environment out there right now. I mean, the margin for error in that room is essentially zero.
It really is. And if you've ever had to prep a sales team or, roll out a complex new product at your own job, you know how incredibly hard it is to get people ready for those zero-margin moments.
Oh, absolutely.
So today we are looking at how elite organizations are actually solving this massive knowledge transfer problem. We got a stack of sources here. We're pulling from an industry briefing titled Pharma Field Readiness 2026, alongside this really comprehensive strategy document called the 2026 Pharma Field Readiness Playbook.
And that playbook is doing something incredible. It shows how the pharmaceutical industry is moving away from, just checking a box on some training module.
Yeah.
And shifting entirely toward guaranteeing actual conversational competence before a rep ever steps foot in a clinic.
I really want to get into the how of that, but to appreciate what these companies are doing, we kind of have to talk about the pressure cooker they are operating in right now.
Yeah, the environment has totally changed.
Because the old playbook for training sales reps, it is completely broken.
It is. The world that Legacy Playbook was built for just doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
The source material lays out 3 massive structural shifts that have fundamentally changed the job. The first one is that access to healthcare providers' HCPs has just plummeted.
Like, how much are we talking?
Well, research from ZS Associates shows a 36% decline in prescriber access over the last decade.
Wow.
And McKinsey data backs this up with a staggering 65% drop in in-person interactions.
Wait, 65%? So doctors are essentially just locking their doors, or at least they're being way more selective about who they actually let in.
Exactly. I mean, more than half of these interactions are now digital, and those rare in-person meetings that are left, they are significantly shorter and far more consequential. You just don't get a second chance to make an impression.
Which feeds right into the second shift, right? The legal scrutiny. The stakes for what you say in those few precious minutes are just higher than ever.
Astronomical. Medical, legal, and regulatory teams are often called MLR in the industry. They're watching everything. There is zero tolerance for off-label drift.
Let's define that really quickly for the listener, just so we're all on the same page. Off-label drift is when a representative subtly suggests, or maybe implies, that a drug could be used to treat something the FDA hasn't explicitly approved it for, right?
That's spot on. Yeah. Or, failing to adequately mention the potential side effects.
Do safety stuff.
Exactly. A single misstated qualifier can trigger a massive regulatory review, huge fines, and just completely derail a product. The operational cost of a compliance miss today is devastating.
So you have less access to doctors, and when you do finally get in, stepping even an inch out of bounds legally can tank your company.
Yep.
That sounds incredibly stressful. Does that affect the timeline for getting these drugs to the market?
Oh, it creates a massive bottleneck. And that is actually the third shift: compressed launch tempos.
Oh.
The industry data is quite sobering on this. 2 out of every 3 drug launches currently underperform their expectations.
2 out of 3.
Yeah. And the bleeding usually happens in that critical window between FDA approval and when the field force is actually, fully certified to go out and talk about the drug.
So they're just losing momentum.
Exactly. Training leaders are being asked to launch faster, but they have to hold perfectly consistent, legally airtight messaging across every single channel.
Man, if I'm a training manager under that kind of pressure, my first instinct is to just lean on what I know, right? To just run the old plays, but harder.
Which is exactly what a lot of them try to do at first.
So let's look at why those legacy methods are failing so spectacularly right now. First up, trainer-led role plays. You sit in a room, you pretend to sell to a trainer. I've done these in my career.
We all have.
They always feel a bit awkward, but why are they specifically failing in pharma?
Because they don't mimic reality. Like a rep might do a handful of these role plays a quarter. The trainer is usually just a colleague, and the feedback is highly subjective.
You did great, Bob.
Right, exactly. But importantly, those role plays rarely simulate the intense regulatory or therapeutic depth of a real visit. For example, a trainer is rarely going to throw a really complex, progression-free survival challenge at a rep.
Meaning like a doctor pressing them on exactly how many months a patient lives without the tumor growing based on specific trial data?
Correct. Or suddenly grilling them on a severe black box FDA warning.
Oh, yeah.
A live oncologist will absolutely do that to you, but in a role play, the trainer often just assumes the rep knows the compliance rules rather than actually stress testing them under pressure.
Which naturally leads companies to rely on the second-old method call recordings. We've all heard the automated voice on the phone. This call is being recorded for quality and training purposes.
Right, the classic.
But the briefing highlights a major psychological flaw there, the Hawthorne effect.
It completely skews the data. The Hawthorne effect basically dictates that people change their behavior when they know they're being observed.
Everyone puts on their customer service voice.
Exactly. Both the pharmaceutical rep and the physician act differently, much more formally, when a red recording light is blinking. Plus, major health systems are recognizing this, and they're simply banning recordings outright.
They just won't let you do it.
Nope.
But even if you could record them, the biggest flaw seems to be the timing, right? It's entirely post-mortem.
Yes.
If a rep misses a crucial safety warning or makes an off-label claim on a recording, that violation has already reached the market. The damage is done. You are auditing a disaster, not preventing one.
Which leaves the most traditional method of all the manager right along.
Oh, boy.
The manager sits in the passenger seat of the car, follows the rep into the clinic, and basically just stands in the corner with a clipboard while the rep pitches.
Okay, let's unpack this, because relying on manager ride-alongs to test a rep's readiness is like a Broadway actor only getting to rehearse their lines while actually on stage in front of the New York Times critics.
That's a great way to put it.
The stakes are entirely too high for that to be your practice ground. You cannot practice when it's opening night.
The live physician, the incredibly busy, highly skeptical target of your multi-million-dollar launch, is being used as the test dummy.
It's crazy.
It is. And you cannot standardize what good looks like when the quality of the coaching depends entirely on whichever manager happens to be sitting in the passenger seat that day. Variance is the symptom of a broken system.
So if role plays are fake, recordings are too late, and ride-alongs are too risky, what is the alternative? How do you actually know someone is ready?
Well, these leading commercial training teams had a massive realization. They realized they had to completely decouple training completion from field readiness.
Okay, wait, explain that distinction, because I think most corporate training programs treat those as the exact same thing.
They do. Historically, if a rep clicked through all their learning management system modules, the LMS videos and the little multiple choice quizzes, they were marked complete in the database.
Check the box, you're good to go.
Exactly. But those modules just track attendance. They don't track competence. A rep can confidently click through every module, ace a multiple choice test on drug interactions, and still walk into that 12-minute doctor visit completely incapable of holding a fluid, compliant conversation.
Because knowing the facts isn't the same as speaking them under pressure.
Exactly. Modern readiness requires verifying the ability to hold a conversation under fire.
Okay, so how do they actually verify that? Because the sources outline a totally new framework powered by AI. Let's break down how this actually works mechanically. What's the first step?
So instead of a handful of awkward role plays a quarter, reps now run dozens of asynchronous sessions against custom AI personas. We are talking about practicing at volume.
Give me a visual here. How is the rep interacting with this AI? Is it like text-based? Are they typing?
No. It is entirely voice-driven. A rep opens an app on their phone or their tablet, and they actually speak out loud.
Oh, wow.
And the AI responds in real time. But these aren't generic chatbots. They are heavily prompted to mimic specific, highly skeptical physicians.
So they have personalities.
Oh, absolutely. A company can program a persona to act like an impatient cardiologist who constantly interrupts you, or a really detail-oriented oncologist who demands deep clinical trial data.
And because it's software, it's available at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday if the rep wants to practice before a big meeting?
Precisely. Repetition is what closes the gap between knowing a message in your head and delivering it flawlessly out loud under pressure.
But if they're just talking to an app, how do they know if they did a good job? The old way relied on a manager's gut feeling.
Right, and that brings us to the second pillar, objective scoring at scale.
Okay.
When human trainers grade role plays, one trainer might be having a bad day and grade really harshly, while another is conflict averse and just passes everyone.
Sure, human nature.
Right, and across 500 reps, that variance compounds dangerously.
It's the airport metal detector analogy. A human security guard might let a suspicious bag through because the line is long and they're just tired.
Exactly.
But the metal detector doesn't care. It applies the exact same invisible magnetic standard to the first person in line and the 10,000th person in line.
That's a perfect analogy. The AI grades thousands of simulated conversations against a single, unwavering rubric.
So it's looking for specific words.
It's more advanced than that. It's not just looking for keywords. It analyzes whether the rep successfully navigated the objection, whether they paused appropriately, and whether they stayed within the regulatory bounds. The tolerance is identical every single time.
Which naturally solves the biggest nightmare for these companies, the compliance risk.
What's fascinating here is that the simulation creates a quiet path for compliance.
A quiet path.
Yes. In the old model, you found out about off-label drift after it happened in front of a doctor. With AI simulation, if a rep starts improvising and making unapproved claims, the AI catches it and corrects it in a totally safe environment.
Before it ever reaches a real doctor.
Exactly. It never reaches a real doctor or an MLR reviewer.
And let's clarify the data privacy side of this, because healthcare runs on incredibly strict privacy laws regarding protected health information, or PHI.
Oh, very strict.
Right. So if reps are practicing using real case studies, isn't that a massive risk to put into an AI?
It would be, but because the AI generates simulated scenarios based on synthetic data, there is absolutely zero real patient data or PHI being captured.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it completely eliminates downstream exposure.
Okay, pause. Wait, let me play devil's advocate for our listener here. Every time I hear a company say they are bringing in automated assessment or AI grading, my radar immediately goes off.
I know where you're going with this.
This sounds like corporate speak for firing half the training department to save money. Are these companies just replacing human mentors with algorithms?
It is the most common fear, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the data from the sources shows the exact opposite happening. This technology doesn't replace human trainers. It elevates what they do.
How so? If the AI is doing all the grading, what are the humans doing?
Their hours are shifted from low-value auditing to high-value strategy.
Okay.
Instead of sitting in a sterile conference room for 40 hours a week, listening to the exact same pitch from 50 different reps and checking boxes on a clipboard, human trainers are now designing the curriculum.
Right. They're the architects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're building these complex, highly realistic AI scenarios. They're refining the grading rubrics to match real-world feedback. They're doing the crucial work of coaching the coaches.
It essentially automates the tedious assessment part so the humans can focus on empathy and strategy.
Exactly. The AI surfaces the data saying, hey, your rep in Ohio is consistently struggling to explain this specific side effect.
Yeah.
And the manager uses their human empathy to sit down with that rep and actually coach them through it.
Okay, it is very easy to design a slick theoretical framework on a whiteboard and say it elevates everyone, but let's see how this actually holds up in reality.
Let's look at the numbers.
Yeah, because we are talking about millions of dollars and real drug launches on the line. The playbook provides 3 real-world stress tests. Let's start with Bayer.
So the Bayer Cardiorenal and Women's Health franchise launch. This is a classic scale problem.
Okay.
They had a tight launch window, and they needed to instantly certify more than 500 representatives nationwide.
And if they use the old playbook, the live role plays and field visits, they would have had to pull their regional managers out of the field.
Exactly.
Which means those managers aren't selling, they aren't meeting with key clients, and the company is burning money and momentum.
So Bayer rebuilt their certification program entirely around this AI-powered practice. They gave the app to the reps and basically just let them run at it.
Yeah.
And the results are, frankly, wild.
Tell me.
Over 5,000 asynchronous practice sessions were logged by those reps.
5,000. Just do the math on that. If a standard role play and feedback session takes, let's say, 30 minutes, 5,000 sessions would be 2,500 hours of human trainer time.
It's incredible.
That's over a year of nonstop 40-hour work weeks for a single human trainer.
And they accomplished it in a fraction of the time. They achieved a 97% mastery rate across those 500-plus reps, entirely without pulling field leaders off their territories.
That is massive scale. But then you have Novartis, which faced a totally different constraint, a massive compression problem.
Right. Novartis was doubling their sales force,
Oh, wow.
and anyone who has been through a corporate expansion knows what a nightmare onboarding can be. Their traditional onboarding program took 5 weeks. But because of the rapid expansion, they were mandated to compress that 5-week onboarding down to just over 2 weeks.
And I imagine the human trainers were already at maximum capacity just dealing with the existing team.
Completely maxed out.
Yeah.
So they brought in the AI personas to handle the verbal certification end to end.
And did it work?
Beautifully. They successfully onboarded more than 150 specialists. They hit a 95% first-time pass rate on certification.
Wow.
The AI system gave them an average score of 4.5, 8 out of 5 for conversational competence. Overall, Novartis achieved a 59% gain in training efficiency.
The timeline held, the sales force doubled, and the training department didn't implode.
Exactly.
But the most extreme stress test in this playbook has to be Sanofi. This case study really shows the outer limits of what this tech can do when your back is against the wall.
Yeah. Sanofi was prepping for an RSV immunization launch. Respiratory syncytial virus.
Right.
FDA approval was imminent, and they had a strict, non-negotiable rule. Absolutely no selling allowed until the rep is certified.
Which is smart but tough.
Very tough.
Yeah.
Because they had an army of 500 reps. And guess how many trainers?
50.
4. They had 4 trainers.
Wait, let me just underline that for the listener. 500 reps, 4 trainers, no selling until you pass. That is mathematically impossible under the legacy model.
You simply cannot physically run 500 complex role plays with 4 people in any reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
Let alone grade them, give feedback, and do retests for the people who fail. Every single day you delay is lost revenue.
So what did they do?
They built a virtual certifier persona. They tuned the AI to behave exactly like the target physicians for this RSV launch. And the numbers here are just staggering. 100% of the team was certified in 5 days.
5 days.
And 80% of them were certified within the first 48 hours.
That's unbelievable.
The average certification time was just 12 minutes per rep. In total, Sanofi saved roughly 250 human trainer hours. They achieved a 3x to 5x efficiency improvement.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Listening to these case studies, the mechanism finally clicked for me. This is quite literally a digital flight simulator for high-stakes conversations.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Think about it. We would never, ever put a pilot in the real cockpit of a 747 without hundreds of simulator hours. We wouldn't just hand them a multiple-choice quiz, say, read the manual, and clear them for takeoff.
Right, that would be insane.
So why in the world were we doing that with pharmaceutical reps handling life-saving clinical data?
We were sending reps into the cockpit and hoping they figured out the controls while the plane was in the air with passengers in the back.
Exactly.
Now, they log the hours, they experience the turbulence, the skeptical doctor interrupting them in the simulator. When they finally walk into a real clinic, they are ready to fly.
So having proved the massive scale and success of this model in pharma, how does a listener actually apply this? Because you might be listening to this and thinking, I don't sell pharmaceuticals, I'm in corporate IT, or I manage a remote software sales team.
Right.
How do we apply this mindset to our own organization's knowledge transfer bottlenecks?
The playbook distills these insights into 3 highly actionable moves that, frankly, any organization can make right now.
What's the first one?
Move number 1. Define readiness as performance, not completion.
Shifting from activity to outcomes.
Yes. You have to stop caring about how many hours of video someone watched. Start measuring what they can actually do. Can they handle a live objection about pricing? Can they deliver the core value proposition under pressure?
Because if they can't...
If they cannot verbally execute the task, they aren't ready, no matter how many compliance boxes they checked in the LMS.
Makes total sense. What is move number 2?
Move 2. Make practice continuous, not scheduled. In most companies, practice only happens when a trainer or a manager physically has time to sit down with you. That creates a massive bottleneck. You need to remove that friction. Give your people the tools, whether that's AI simulation or even peer-to-peer audio notes, to iterate and practice on demand.
Make it easy for them.
Let them fail safely in private so they can try again and build the muscle memory.
And the final move, move number 3, redirect manager time from assessment to coaching. This feels like the biggest cultural shift.
It really is, because it changes the entire relationship between the manager and the employee. If we kept this to the bigger picture, across Bayer, Novartis, and Sanofi, the core pattern wasn't just speed, it was consistency. Human trainers create variants. One is tough, one is gentle. But the AI holds the exact same standard across 500 people, which is the ultimate safeguard against risk.
But let me ask you a very practical question about human nature for the listener. Say they are trying to implement this at their company. How do you convince an old school manager, someone who has been in the game for 20 years and swears by their physical in-person ride-alongs, that a software score is actually a better indicator of readiness?
Yeah, change management is notoriously difficult. But what the data from these rollouts shows is that managers actually end up loving this system.
Really? I would think they'd feel threatened.
I know, but the reason is entirely psychological. Under the old system, the manager was forced to be the bad cop.
Ah.
They had to sit in the passenger seat, judge the rep, and deliver the bad news if they failed to role play.
Ugh.
It creates an inherently adversarial dynamic.
Oh, I see.
With AI simulation, the software becomes the objective bad cop.
Oh, that is fascinating. So the manager gets to sit on the same side of the table as the rep.
Exactly. They look at the AI's data together. The manager gets to be the supportive coach saying, okay, look, the system flagged that you're rushing through the safety warnings. Let's work on your pacing together so you can beat the system next time.
It completely flips the dynamic from adversarial to collaborative.
It preserves their mentorship role while completely removing the friction of evaluation.
That is brilliant. Okay, let's bring this all together. What we've seen today is a massive industry-wide paradigm shift. Pharma field readiness is no longer a post-mortem audit where we figure out what went wrong after the damage is done.
Right.
And it's no longer a useless checklist of completed training modules. It has transformed into a proactive, outcome-based certification that happens in a matter of days.
It is the shift from hoping your team is ready to mathematically guaranteeing that they're capable of holding the conversation.
So, what does this all mean? For you listening, whether you are launching a drug, pitching a new product to your boss, or onboarding a new team, the lesson is clear. Measuring what people know is useless compared to measuring what people can do under pressure.
I completely agree. But, there's one final larger implication here that I think is worth considering.
What's that?
We've just spent this time exploring how pharmaceutical companies are using incredibly advanced AI personas to simulate skeptical, time-crunched doctors. They're doing this so the reps can achieve conversational mastery.
Right.
This raises a really interesting future scenario. If the sellers are using AI to perfectly simulate the buyers, how long is it before the real doctors, who are already overwhelmed with information and strapped for time, start using their own AI gatekeepers?
Wait, you mean a doctor using an AI to screen the pharma rep?
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
How long until an HCP deploys an AI agent to interrogate a rep's clinical data, verify their safety claims, and cross-reference their trial statistics before the human rep is ever allowed to step foot in the actual clinic?
Oh, wow.
We might be moving toward a world where the seller's AI has to negotiate with the buyer's AI before the humans ever even speak to each other.
AI gatekeepers screening AI-trained reps. That is a wild but entirely plausible future to mull over. We'll have to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. The next time you find yourself with 12 minutes to make your case, whether it's in a doctor's office, a boardroom, or anywhere else, remember the flight simulator. Don't let the main event be your practice run. Get your reps in, demand continuous practice, and build that muscle before you ever step onto the stage. Until next time.